following announcement's been paid for by the Savvo and Stubby Show.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
It's me, S-T-U-B-B. Why? Because the man, the myth, the legend, the Mighty Minion himself, Stubby. Coming to you from Kayfabe Studios, and we are back in this bitch for the pre-show to WrestleMania. And I am joined by my co-host. He is the enigmatic, charismatic, Greek mystique, Savvo The Savior.
What's up, everybody? Another thing you need to incorporate in my introduction is the one and only first ever Flow champion. That's right.
Starting to cut a promo like the modern day Maharaja there. Yeah, you may have been the first one and only ever, but I am your current longest reigning.
Well, I don't know about that.
Defending.
Longest reigning?
I'm now up to 4 weeks.
And what was my reign?
2 weeks.
Yeah, that was a technical. Okay, whatever.
I've got milk in the refrigerator that's got a longer shelf life, bub.
Well, I was busy celebrating Savvo Day, so...
You pulling a picture there? Well,
No.
Oh. Anyway, Savvo Day was really... we'll give you 2 weeks. I mean, Black History Month's a lot longer than you.
Well, okay, but they had 2 pay-per-views. I mean, they came, so too close together. But anyway... First ever. Hey, that's what counts.
If you're that good, you should be able to continue the reign, and that's where I'm currently standing right now.
We'll see.
Yeah. For those that don't know, right after WrestleMania, right after Royal Rumble, we started a Flow tournament, which is the Fantasy League of Wrestling, very similar to fantasy football rules, where we drafted the entire Raw, SmackDown, Raw Women's, SmackDown Women's, and 205 Live. It was myself, the Mighty Minion, Savvo The Savior, Glorious Steve Vasio, and that very, very dirty Cracker, Trip Rogers. And the first run was pretty good. Savvo came out on top, winning the title. And then we've had a month now since the last pay-per-view for Fastlane, and I currently have the title, and we are neck and neck going into WrestleMania. So this is going to be...
the 3 of us are, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Glorious. He got the crappy end of the roster.
Not real. I mean, he's got the crappy Raw roster. He's got a great SmackDown roster.
Going into this pay-per-view, he's got a pretty good roster.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his guys are in the Battle Royal.
Right.
So, yeah, a lot has happened since the last time we did a show. Our show goes back to January 25th.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
We're in April.
Yeah.
Holy.
We're not on the consistent side as it's well known. What has happened in wrestling that you can remember? We seen the deletion of
yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed it. At first, I was a fan of the original Hardy Compound matches and all that in TN and Impact, and when they did this one, it was good to see, but there were certain parts where I thought that was kind of stupid or whatever. I just didn't, react to it. But then I watched it again the next day, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
We went to a wrestling show.
Yes, we did. Impact
during this time period, and it was actually a really entertaining show.
It was, yeah.
I guess one of your favorite spots was the James Ellsworth chinlock.
Yeah, that was great.
They had Moose. Go ahead and tell the names.
Alberto Del Rio.
El Patron.
Sorry, Alberto El Patron. Eli Drake. Trevor Lee.
Taya Valkyrie.
My
favorite.
Ali.
You had LAX.
That's right, LAX against Reno Scum, I guess.
Which The guy with the mohawk's a pretty big
Yeah,
boy.
you know, I didn't see him performing like that in when he was on Impact, so this kind of took me by surprise. But yeah,
And apparently we missed the controversial show that happened the following night. There
is that from that though? You think?
From what I hear, the timing fits with Devin Danger. I don't know if you saw the video of him coming out and playing the role as a heel. You know, you get the crowd reaction where you go to fake a handshake, you pull back, and you leave the person looking stupid. Well, in the video, Devin Danger gets the attention of a little girl and pretends to give her a handshake, and as she reaches out, he spits his gum at her. So, natural reaction, the father or the uncle or whoever was there with the little girl acted out and attacked him. Now, there's been a lot of controversy on the internet. If you were in that situation, how do you think you would have reacted?
I don't know. Honestly, I thought about that after we talked about it, and I really can't answer that because I'm not in that situation. Yeah, I'd be pissed regardless, but I don't know. I'd have to be in that situation to actually...
Do you really, though? Because if you think about it, if it was happening to you, you can kind of brush it off because you're a full-grown adult. You can fend for yourself. You can say some choice words. And you can, you know, assess the situation in that aspect. But when you've got a 8-year-old girl, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's boy or girl, but if you have an 8-year-old that really can't fend for themselves, can't react to the situation, do your father instincts kick in, do you think? I mean, he immediately went on Twitter and apologized, saying that he was not intentionally trying to spit his gum at her. But if you watch the video,
No, he was.
It's clear as day. I mean,
Right.
His hand was even pulled back whenever the gum left his mouth.
Right.
So, me personally, I think I would have reacted the same.
Yeah.
And I probably would have got my ass kicked in the process, but I still would have reacted the same. And it's one of those things where, you know, cooler heads prevail. But on instinct alone, I think I would have reacted. So, today's Friday. Hall of Fame ceremony is actually going on right now as we speak. Mm-hmm. You got to catch a portion of it. What'd you think of it so far?
I thought the Dudley part, the Dudley Boys induction was pretty cool. Hillbilly Jim, Jimmy Hart, man, it was like crickets. I expected more of a pop, you know, especially for Jimmy Hart. But anyway, it was kind of dead. And then Ivory was inducted by Molly Holly. Molly Holly, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, that just seemed kind of, is this done yet? But probably because I wasn't that big of a fan of hers. But I don't know, it was okay.
For the ones that are inducted this year, would you think, in your opinion, do you think they're all deserving? Or is there someone that you would take out and put in their place?
I would take out, I mean, not saying Ivory's not worthy. I'm just saying I think Victoria should have gone in before Ivory. And of course, China. But like I said, I'm tired of saying the same three people, or what is it, 3 or 4? China, Benoit, and Owen. Because that, I mean, if it happens, it's going to happen.
Well, I think it's all politicking because if you look at it, you know, certain people going at certain times. Jeff Jarrett, very, very worthy.
Yes.
Timing is kind of suspicious, along with Kid Rock. I think it's one of those you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type of mentalities, with Kid Rock coming in conveniently at the time that the American Badass is supposed to supposedly come back. And I think Ivory's timing is because of this women's revolution and the fact that WWE is trying to get a better bond with the Glow organization because of the fact that the TV show is on Netflix and they're been renewed for season 2. And I think there's going to be some not pollination, or there's going to be some interweaving of the show of the actors coming on to WWE and vice versa, I'm sure.
Now, wasn't there a Glow back in like the 80s or something?
Right, and that's where it's...
Wasn't that, I mean, in your opinion, wasn't that kind of a joke?
It was. It was more of what WWE was during that time period, where it was more showmanship, characters larger than life. But my reason for referencing that is Ivory was part of Glow back in the day as...
I don't know.
Tina Ferrari. Tina Ferrari, I think.
That sounds
the name,
familiar.
something on the lines of like Tina Ferrari or something like that. But it's just the timing of it just happens to fit when season 2 of Glow is going to be releasing on Netflix.
Well, it's all political, we don't know about it, but they got stuff going on.
Talking about politics and talking about suspicious timing and whatnot, what is your take on the whole Mae Young Classic? Or not Mae Young, I'm sorry, Fabulous Moolah. The Women's Battle Royal that after fans complained, Snickers came to WWE and said that you need to change the name of this tournament or this trophy.
I agree with it, only because, number one, okay, I know it's stupid, and I know I'm anti all that crap, but number one, I never really cared for Moolah. Why? Because she had something to do with rock and wrestling, and I fucking despised rock and wrestling because, again...
But that put it on a larger scale.
I understand that, but me, the way I am, even with music, is if it gets on that larger scale, I tend to turn away from it.
But because of things like that, it kind of paved the way for the fact that WrestleMania now sells itself.
Right.
And it's not even about who's performing per se. A good portion of the house is going to come naturally just because of the brand of WrestleMania.
Because of the event, correct. But yeah, I mean, I did hear stuff about Moolah before, but I, since forgotten all about it, and then I saw it all again. It's just like, oh man, they kind of, kicked themselves in the butt there.
And see, that's the thing that I don't understand. Quick to pass judgment. A lot of these people were not even alive when Moolah was, in the business.
Right.
Was the 60s or 70s? 50s,
What's your favorite Moolah match?
I don't know, but we can ask Bailey because apparently she's seen a lot of
it. Yeah, I saw when she said that. I fucking laughed. Oh god, she probably hasn't even seen one. I mean,
it just blows my mind because there are a lot of other shadier people in the business current day that are still recognized. Tammy Sitch hasn't had her Hall of Fame revoked after all the drama that she's been through.
China, they won't give her.
Right, but I noticed in. There was something I was watching on the network last night. I think it might have been Ride Along. And China was actually featured in one of the clips. Which tells me WWE is slowly making that route back to China. And I think we're going to get to that point where it's just going to be, we're running out of people. Unfortunately, it's going to take that long for them to realize that she should have been in there in the first place.
I think they need to incorporate more... Here I go again. Yeah, I know. More WCW people. But not only that, more, even like the AWA people.
What are some of the examples that you would reference from like the NWA or WCW era?
Well, for AWA, there's people like Greg Gagne. There's...
I'm surprised Greg Gagne has not been inducted by this point.
His dad is Vern Gagne. But right, I mean, Greg Gagne was the shit. Okay, he was the owner's son. I get it, but... He was actually good. He could back it up.
Wasn't Vince McMahon's limo driver inducted in the Hall of Fame? Unless I'm hearing rumors about... I don't know.
I don't know where you're going with that. I have no idea.
I don't know. Anyway.
I don't remember if... He may... Mad Dog Vachon. I don't know if he's in it or not. In the Hall of Fame or not.
Why hasn't Luna been inducted?
Right. Yeah, I don't get it. What's his name? Jerry Blackwell... should be in there, I think. Ken Patera, he might be in there. I'm not sure because he did have some time in WWF.
It just blows my mind. Like, who sets the time periods for these things? How do people like the Dudley Boys... I mean, I get it maybe because they were still active. But where does the Godfather, get the bump up before certain people?
Right, exactly.
Is it all politics? I mean, is there a certain formula that they gather to get this to...
I'm wondering if they're going to go with okay, every year we're going to put somebody who was good but not really deserving anyway, just to get them in there.
I wonder if it's one of those things...
This year being Hillbilly Jim.
Right, and I wonder if it's going to be every year... Maybe there is a formula. Maybe every year there's a character that was not necessarily a draw, but it was a larger-than-life character that made you remember. Like, for
Hillbilly
example,
Jim.
Hillbilly Jim.
Right.
You had the Big Boss Man. Like, people that, I mean,
Yeah, but
I'm sure Ray Traylor was actually a good wrestler.
he was Big Bubba, too. He was a badass when he was in that role.
I mean, if you look at that, Hugh Morris would be another one of those guys.
Right.
But after the way his career ended, I highly doubt.
Another racial thing, right? Or something,
Right.
bullying, whatever.
So, on the topic of older wrestlers and the business and everything, did you hear about the exchange between Cody Rhodes and Disco Inferno?
Yeah.
What is your take on that? Because I listened to Disco Inferno. He's never seriously tooted his own horn. He touches on his accolades all the time, how he was a steady hand, and he was never a real draw, but he was consistent in his work. You actually watched WCW. What could you say about?
He was a mid-card guy. I think Cody Rhodes just overreacted. I mean, personally.
Disco's also not a big, tall guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was that middle guy because the cruiserweights at that time were kind of like a... I mean, Conan kind of pushed for them to get noticed. Mm-hmm. But even then, they were still kind of an afterthought with Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho and what.
Yeah.
And it took time for them to build that up, and eventually it did.
Right.
It set the way. But Cody's comments that, Disco never drew a dime, would you agree with that?
I don't think people went to see Disco, correct. I mean, yeah, I get that part, but he wasn't like the shittiest wrestler or whatever.
I'm not going to lie. I've been a wrestling fan that I can actually remember was when Raw went on the air in 92, 93, whatever. For all the shows that I've gone and seen, there's never been a wrestler that made me want to go see it. It's been the product as a whole.
Right.
So is there really, truly a draw, in your opinion? Is there someone that you would go to the show just for?
Like miss the whole show just watch their match?
No, I mean, your sole purpose was to see them wrestle. Like if it was WCW current day.
I'd go for the whole thing, but...
So is there really such thing as someone being a draw, in your opinion? I mean, is that a fabled title?
Well, it's coming from my the way I perceive things, so...
I mean, if anything, a draw, in my opinion, is merchandise sales.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go to the show regardless.
Right. Because you like the product.
And if there's an intriguing storyline, I'm going to... I mean, like WrestleMania, for example. Is there anyone specifically you want to see, or do you just want to see the whole product?
The whole product.
Exactly. So, Cody's comment is asking if when has he ever drawn a dollar?
Right.
It's kind of obscene.
Do you think they were going to WrestleManias a few years back to see Stardust?
I mean, in all fairness, though, too, is Cody who he is because of his dad, do you think? Because he naturally can wrestle.
He's a great wrestler, yeah.
But at the same time, do you think he got as far into the main product based on Dusty?
I think he probably got his feet wet because of Dusty. He got in the business easier because of Dusty, but he has, when you get in that position, you got to prove yourself, and I think he's done that. I don't think he was
Has he really, though? Because if you think about it, when he was in WWE, and I understand it's the role, the gimmick that they give you, but he really wasn't good as Stardust.
He was good. Good as far as what? Actual wrestling ability?
Wrestling ability was spot on, but his
gimmick.
Character.
I thought he did good for that role, though. Stardust. I mean, I don't know. I thought he sold it well.
Well, the way he makes it sound is that he wasn't living in his dad's shadow. He carried himself. But when he left WWE, he immediately tagged himself along with the Bullet Club. Once again, not a solo thing. He has the support system.
Right.
So is he really as good as he makes himself out to be?
I get what you're saying. I wouldn't say he's as good as he makes himself out to be, but I think he's a better talent than Disco. No offense to Disco, but...
Like, if you were to take Cody Rhodes and put him out into the indie scene without the Bullet Club, just on his accolades from WWE, and you take someone like Dolph Ziggler and put them in the same role, who's going to thrive? Do you think Cody gets the extra push because of the fact that he's Dusty Rhodes' son?
No, I don't think he'd get it because of that, I think he would get it because he's more not relevant, like, you know, but he's more out there. He's more in the spotlight, we'll say.
Right, but that spotlight was kind of given to him by
Right.
the Bullet Club, so it kind of gives a false sense of who he really is.
Right. No, I get
Not to knock on him, because,
Right,
again,
right.
I liked him when he was in WWE. I think it's bullshit that he got tagged with these ridiculous gimmicks that really nobody can thrive with, but he seemed to make it work.
It's just like 3-man band.
Who can make a paper bag gimmick work? I mean, WWE could have marketed that so
Who
many
can
different
make
ways.
a Red Rooster gimmick work?
That's just ridiculousness. And I watched that ride-along that was on the WWE Network with Jinder Mahal, and he joked about the potential 3-man band coming back.
Yeah.
Which, can you imagine if they can actually make that a legit faction?
And what's it'll pop too.
Yeah, it will.
But why?
Yeah,
Everybody hated it, right? Or was it just me?
I think Jinder even cracked a joke saying that the idea that 3-man band was being brought up and that Heath Slater was going to have 2 of the members in his band, and Jinder joked and said, "Watch me be in it."
Yeah.
And the very next day, he got a phone call.
And then they went to FEW or whatever,
Yeah, and they actually took
and they air guitar lessons.
Yeah, which I can't knock because I'm not musically inclined. I don't even think I can play an air guitar.
Oh, shut up!
You shut up.
There is no instrument for an air guitar. You just act like you're playing guitar.
Maybe I can't get the finger positioning right.
There's your lesson right there. You just had it. Go out there and do your thing.
On a different topic, the Andre the Giant documentary is going to be airing on HBO on Tuesday, April 10th. Are you going to be watching it?
I don't have HBO.
Ironically, unless they re-air it, Xfinity, and maybe I can record it. And,
I don't have Xfinity.
Right, I do. Maybe I can record it, but Xfinity is doing a free promo from April 16th to April 22nd.
Oh, yeah?
Of all, like, HBO stars, whatever, for that
Yeah.
week. So if
16th?
if HBO puts it on a loop, I might be able to record it. Or I'll bring the Fire Stick over and we can watch it.
Well, sometimes they do a free weekend of HBO.
Right, which
Yeah.
I think might be the case. But what is your take on this? Are you interested in seeing it?
Yeah, I'd love to see it, yeah.
I like this because it seems like it's an authorized biography, but it's outside the WWE, so we're going to get more of a feel of what Andre the Giant really was.
Did you see the 30 for 30 or whatever?
Ric Flair?
No.
It's still not yet.
I got it recorded.
But there's a lot of people think Andre the Giant started, at WrestleMania with Hogan and all that other stuff. But Andre was wrestling like 10, 15 years prior to that. And
I think I might have seen them in a battle royal as a kid.
someone was saying that when he was younger, in the early stages of his career, he was doing moves that someone his
He
size...
was lean. He wasn't always 500 pounds.
Right. And so whenever you see the Andre that's WrestleMania status, the guy was in his late 30s.
He's falling
Had
apart.
he had health issues, and given he was also just a marvel on the eyes.
Right.
So, I don't know.
You wanted him, huh? You wanted some of that Frenchman.
Oh, he'd break me in half. So,
You said he was a marvel. Who says that?
yeah. Are you excited about this weekend?
Yes and no.
We've got NXT TakeOver, which we're not really going to go into the card because the WrestleMania card itself, it's going to take us as long as the show's going to be airing.
There's 12 matches, including the battle royal.
14 matches.
Whoa.
14 matches. Potentially
Maybe
14.
15 if Cena...
I think it's actually potentially 14 if Cena. But I want to go through the card, and I want to go through match by match, get your predictions, what your takes are on the match, and how you felt about the actual build-up to this WrestleMania. Because if you ask me, it was kind of lackluster. I think they banked on the fact that it was just going to sell itself by the name alone.
And is it sold out?
No. Still to this moment, it's not. It's very close to being sold out, though.
Now, I saw something online that... Is it just from one location? I know that sounds weird, but I saw something that said WrestleMania April 8th, and then it said... It was 2 squares, that's why I'm going like this. WrestleMania at a different place, but it said Sunday, April 7th, which would be Saturday.
Right. It probably
so is that supposed to be NXT? But it said WrestleMania. It didn't say NXT.
Yeah, it might have been NXT TakeOver.
Okay.
But did you hear about the tickets? There were tickets that were like $150 for a 5-pack.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because they are not selling out the show. To the point where now, supposedly, Raw is 2/3 of being sold out. And SmackDown's not even close. So there's going to be a lot of like free tickets that they're going to be giving out. I wouldn't be surprised if they give you a free ticket at the WrestleMania show.
Wow.
But I don't know.
Too bad it's in New Orleans. Shit.
Right. I mean, airfare alone, I'm sure is going to cost almost $1,000.
Right.
Because you're going in the middle of the week to get there.
In a way, it's kind of cool that, I mean, not only is WWE and NXT there, but Impact is there. They're having WrestleCon. They got all kinds of wrestling-related stuff going on. And that's actually pretty amazing. But for us that aren't in New Orleans, that's kind of fucked up.
Right, and there's some controversy that's going on with that. I don't know the exact details because I don't do my research for our podcast because we probably have 6 people that listen to it. But apparently the Louisiana State Commission has specific guidelines and regulations that are put in place that are certain moves that are banned and certain things that you can do that are banned that only apply to all the indie people, but not to WWE.
Right, because I think that's also where it separates the WWE because it's entertainment.
Right, and Vince McMahon threw that label of entertainment on there for the tax break, along with the guidelines that he can, the red tape that he can.
That doesn't apply to us because it's entertainment.
Right. Okay, so as usual with the big four, this is going to be potentially a 7.5 hour show. You're going to have a 2-hour pre-show plus a 5.5, because it's going to be a 5-hour show for sure, with a good 30-minute run over, because they usually do that. So you figure a 7.5 hour show from 2 o'clock to 10:30 our time.
They probably won't have any matches that first hour, though, right? It's probably just going to be all talking and recap.
They've got 3 matches scheduled for the pre-show.
Yeah, it'll probably be in that second hour. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, they're going to automatically do the whole Facebook Live or Twitter questions live, what they always do. Or like the green room where they talk to a wrestler.
Yeah.
Along with the WWE panel with
Booker and
Sam Roberts and David Otunga. And then they're probably going to do some kind of pre-match, like talking to the champions, get their take. Plus maybe a little promo or vignette in the back. But that's devoting a day. That's like collecting a paycheck. You go clocking in for work.
Going to work, watching wrestling for 8 hours, yeah.
That is a long day. So, with that said, we've got potentially a 14-match card. We're going to give our predictions, the participants and whatnot. So, because it's going to be that much of a show, let's jump right into the card. So, to start out the pre-show, to my knowledge, we have the Women's Battle Royal.
Okay.
We have the Men's Battle Royal. And we have the Cruiserweight Championship. So, going into the Women's Battle Royal, who are the participants that we know of so far?
I don't know. I was just going to ask you, who's in these? They didn't really...
Way to do your research, man.
I just wrote down Women's Battle Royal. I don't know. They didn't really announce who's in it.
Now a word from our sponsors. Okay, so anyone that's listening to this podcast already knows the participants that's going to be in the Battle Royal. So let's just get right down to who we think is going to be the winners, I guess, of the card. We already know that your basics are going to be in there. Your mid-carders. We got Bayley, Sasha Banks, Carmella, I'm sure.
Yeah. Ruby Riott. Ember Moon.
What we have, has that been confirmed?
Yeah, there's going to be NXT people in.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to throw a bunch of people in there. Becky Lynch. Surprisingly, you look at people like Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. The fact that they're in a pre-show kind of blows my mind.
It's like the funny thing about what WWE is doing or has done is, they're trying to promote equality, women, men, but every time they take a step forward with women, whatever they're doing, they also take like 2 steps back. Example, they had the Elimination Chamber with women, which was supposed to be a big success for women, blah, blah, blah. And then they shit on it by bringing out Ronda Rousey that same night.
Do you think they called the Elimination Chamber something different over in Germany?
No, but I think they do in Israel.
Okay, so who's your pick for this this battle royal?
Oh boy, I'm gonna go Ruby Riott.
I go with Becky Lynch. I think they're finally going to give her something to show that she's still a valued member of the community. Because, and
that's a good pick.
The Battle Royal makes a person's career. Look at Baron Corbin. Look at Mojo Rawley. Look at The Big Show.
Look at Cesaro.
Yeah, I mean, these people...
Cesaro's successful, sure.
The Battle Royal springboards their career. So, Becky Lynch desperately needs this. She's long overdue. Then we have the men's version, which is also your... I don't want to call them C players or whatever, even though I have already. I want to call them your guaranteed hands. They're your live show. They're your pre-match fillers or whatever.
They're the people that you don't care about on TV, but if you ran into them, you'd be excited.
Exactly. I mean, they're still technically WWE superstars.
Right. No, they're just not getting the push.
So some of the names that are going to be in this one that we know of so far: Mojo Rawley, Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt. I even predict that we might see a couple of returns as kind of like welcome backs, potentially Big Cass, Rey Mysterio, which it would be kind of sucky to throw them in that pre-match type thing, but at least they're on the card.
Right.
With that said, who do you think is going to win it this year for the men's?
Elias.
Whoa, that was quick. My personal pick is going to be Ty Dillinger. I think they're going...
You really like that guy, huh?
I do. I unfortunately, he doesn't... I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not a show stealer, but I think that there is potential there.
They're giving him the Bailey treatment, huh?
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because the guy's put in time. He just doesn't have that it factor. And just like Sasha Banks, I don't quite get his gimmick. What is the perfect 10? The guy doesn't win matches. That's not perfect whatsoever.
Right. For all you Bailey fans out there, I actually popped when she got into it with Sasha.
You think she turns heel?
I don't know, but I enjoyed the fact that she was fighting back.
So you think this is the Elias is not on the card?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You think he's gonna be a surprise entrance?
Yeah. Well, like 25 people are gonna be surprise entrants because they only announced a few of them.
Is it a full 30-man battle royal?
I'm assuming.
I would think it's gonna be 20 and 20, just to not a quite full battle royal. What I do predict though, which out of curiosity, what happened to the Ascension? Like they were with Fandango and Breezango.
What happened to Fandango and...
Right, so they might be inside the battle royal too.
I'm sure they will, yeah.
But my prediction is that we're going to see Elias at the show, and he's going to put on his performance, a little concert, and that's where Jeff Jarrett comes out and interrupts him, and maybe does his little song, which would be kind of funny.
I'm just looking... I can understand what you're saying, and I can see it happening, but I'm just trying to see how they would go about doing it, because the only time they show the Hall of Fame people is when they all come out and they introduce them and they all wave and blah, 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 and that's it.
I think positioning on the stage and everything is going to play a factor too.
Yeah.
Because if it's anything like last year's WrestleMania,
that was a strange one.
A mile long to get to.
Yeah. Damn.
But because of the Superdome, from pictures that I saw, it doesn't look like it's going to be a super long ramp, which really, that's how it should be. I think they should go back to the days of old where they got carried out on that little thing that's shaped like a ring, a mini ring, and they're standing in the middle of it. Almost like a little forklift type thing.
Mark lift.
Yeah.
Scissor lift, whatever.
I think that'd be pretty cool. Just throw homage back to the day of when wrestling was kind of a spectacular or a spectacle. Who talks like that?
Not to change the subject, but I went to a concert last week or whatever, and it was at the San Jose Convention Center, and that's where I saw a wrestling event. And it was just so funny because I sat there and I was looking towards the stage, and I told my buddy, I was like, I went, here as a kid for a wrestling event, and the good guys came out from that side, and the bad guys came out from that side.
It makes me wonder why they don't do that anymore. I mean, I get kayfabe's dead.
Yeah, but still, you don't... Yeah, right. I agree. It should still be like that.
But in storyline, it makes more sense, too, because let's say Roman Reigns gets attacked by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar now leaves and goes to the back. Roman Reigns is going the same direction the guy that just kicked his ass is
going.
But
he's got to go, oh, now?
Right.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense. So
you can still attack people if you're coming out from, because they got to meet at one point.
Right. So it's like, why wouldn't I, as a bad guy, go to the back and just wait there around the corner of the curtain, and then when the guy comes out and just kick his ass?
Right, exactly.
Our next match is the 205 Live Cruiserweight Championship between Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali.
Hey, I know I probably talked a lot of crap about the 205 show as a whole, but I watched like the last 4 weeks worth in like 2 days, whatever, and it's pretty good actually. I'm actually pleasantly surprised.
If they peel back this tournament once the tournament's over, this show actually has some legs to it.
Yeah.
There are so many people currently on the NXT roster that really the only place for them to go is the 205 for them to be taken serious. People like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Roderick Strong, even Cien Almas. I don't know if he's in the 205 weight class, but these are guys that are not quite... I mean, Eric Young, for example. I'm sure he's close to that range. If Tony Nese is 205,
2 something, yeah.
If Tony Nese can make that with the 6-pack abs or the 8-pack abs,
yeah, he's good too.
He looks like he's heavier than 205.
Yeah,
but apparently he's in that weight class.
Him, Gulak,
and I see
TJP. They're all pretty damn good. Yeah,
Buddy Murphy's. I heard making a name for himself.
He's got to be more than 205.
Yeah. Well, apparently they questioned it because there was a weigh-in that he had to do or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So, but 205 actually has some legs to it, and I think if positioned right with the fact that Rockstar Spud or Maverick, whatever you want to call him, Drake Maverick coming over, he is that missing part. He's kind of like what Enzo was, but now as a general manager role. I didn't get a chance to see the actual tournament, but both of these participants, I'm actually excited to see either one of them be champion because Cedric Alexander is long overdue, and Mustafa Ali has the charisma and the mic skills to carry that title.
It's weird because the 4 weeks worth that I watched, not once did Cedric wrestle. It's like, oh, this guy's supposed to be the champion.
Right, and I don't know, maybe he got an advancement. I remember that he was favored going in. I don't know. I haven't watched 205, so I don't personally know. I know at one point I got points for him because I have him as one of my guys on my roster. So, yeah, I have no idea. So, out of those two, who would you say your pick would be?
I'm going to go with Mustafa Ali.
I agree. Just on merit alone, I say Mustafa Ali, but Cedric Alexander is just as equally up there. So there's no wrong.
Right. I don't dislike Cedric. I just haven't really seen what he's capable of. Going back those 4 weeks, he wasn't really even on there.
Well, just don't go back to like the Halloween or the Christmas special because they had that pumpkin match. And
I'm not going to go back any further.
Because that'll ruin your image for both these guys.
I'm not going to go back any further.
So with that said, I believe that should at that point wrap up the pre-show, which will lead us into the main show. In no particular order because obviously we can't predict the card. If you had to pick a match though you would like to see open the show, what would you want to see to get the juices flowing and to get everything popping?
Probably To get it popping, I'd probably go with the United States Championship.
I agree, and I go with that because Rusev's on this push for Rusev Day. And I think that's going to be the strongest time to get the audience's participation into the show, is starting it off strong, starting it off early.
That's weird, because looking at that match, Orton, Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, and Rusev, in theory, I would say Rusev could win it, but the way they've treated him, you never know. And it's like, it'd be easier to tell you who's not going to win it. And in my opinion, that's Jinder.
Well, it's funny, you look at the card, and if you were to take any one of those people out, just one of those people, the match really isn't worth watching. I don't know what it is, but adding that fourth person has got me a little intrigued to see the match.
I disagree, but...
Okay, so let's say you took out...
Jinder.
I actually think Jinder's going to win it.
Do you?
I have him as my pick.
I don't think so.
I have him as my personal pick, but I think I should say that differently. My pick is Jinder, but I think they might go Rusev. I think what I can see happening is the next night, or on SmackDown, Rusev comes out to do Rusev Day. Mm-hmm. Was that SmackDown?
Yes.
He's going to come out to do Rusev Day, and Lana's music's going to hit, and we're going to see the reuniting of Lana and Rusev. And Aiden English is going to get the boot.
The boot?
The boot.
Why can't he join them?
Because it'll be ravishing Rusev Day. It's not no longer going to be Rusev Day. Rusev Mania.
I mean, I would prefer them together, Rusev and Lana.
So you, in your head, no doubt in your mind that Bobby Roode or Randy Orton's not walking out with that title?
No. All I said was, I don't think Jinder will.
Okay.
I think Rusev probably will, but because he's my guy, I gotta go with Orton.
I say
he's on my team, my roster.
Storyline wise, I think it's smarter to put it onto Jinder because he's a strong heel.
He's not.
He's more out of those four people, he is the strongest person character wise. You can actually hate him, but the fact that he's using the belt, being anti-American or whatever.
I don't dislike him. It's just that
he's gotten better,
but he's not quite there yet. I don't think his personality. It's just like
same could be said with Bobby Roode though too. Bobby Roode can wrestle,
but Bobby Roode. I don't like glorious. I'm sorry, Steven, but I don't like glorious Bobby Roode. I like it factor Bobby Roode.
Well, there was talks.
James Storm
2 weeks ago. James Storm was there at backstage, and Paige got him on Snapchat, being there at the show. Yeah, so WWE immediately had her take it down, which leads me to believe one of two things.
She's always getting in trouble,
right? One of two things is happening: is he's coming back, and WWE wanted to squash that. Because of the potential that he might.
Right, another spoiler there.
Or, I forgot my other reason. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason why they had her take it down.
To yell at her?
Yeah, I guess. All right, so the next match on the card?
We have a Raw Tag Team Championship match. The Bar against Braun Strowman and
his mystery partner. All right, so in your personal opinion, is the Bar a strong enough tag team to continue holding the title? Or would you like to see it leave to somebody else?
On Raw, I would say they are. I mean, it depends on who Braun's partner is. And what I mean is, on Raw, they faced everybody. Who's better than them?
True. So, with that said, are we getting a gimmick tag team partner? Are we getting a legitimate tag team partner? Is this tag team winning the titles? Or is this just a gimmick match to push the storyline because we're going to have the superstar shakeup potentially in the near future?
I think it's because they put Braun in this because
he was a floater while the Roman Reigns trial thing.
Yeah, because they're pushing Roman and they don't know what to do with him. So I think that Braun and mystery partner will win the titles. Who that mystery partner is, There's been a lot of rumor and innuendo about it.
There's a Bruce Pritchard term.
Actually, it's more Conrad.
True. I mean, that show pretty much is Conrad with Bruce Pritchard stories.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think mystery partner. I'm going to go with. There's several names I heard.
There's some strong names out there.
There's Mysterio. There's Hogan. There's Big Cass.
There's Bobby Lashley.
Damn, can you imagine if Lashley and Strowman got together? What a team
that's my pick. Who the mystery partner is, because I can see Braun and Lashley teaming up together, winning the titles, and being a dominant factor to the point where we're now going to have to see these factions come together, whether it be the Bullet Club. It could be the Bullet Club. It could be the Shield. You can have
the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, if we get the Superstar Shakeup, you've got the Bludgeon Brothers. You've got what's their names? The Revival. I mean, there are so many storylines that can go into that, to the point where Braun and Lashley dominate the tag team scene for a while, and then there's some kind of dissension between the two of them, and they end up having a match at Survivor Series or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be good.
What I'm hoping does not happen is that the Big Show comes back. Because one, when we last saw Big Show, he got thrown through a cage by Braun. So there should still be bad blood. There should be no reason for them to be a tag team. Two, Big Show just signed a 2-year extension on his contract. Whether that be in-ring action or he'd be a correspondent, kind of the way that Mark Henry is. But it'd be neat to see someone like Big Cass come in and get that whole skyscraper type mentality that they had back in the day in WCW. Mm-hmm. Two very big guys that are just dominating the scene.
Right.
But what might likely happen is you're going to get a gimmick. You're going to get a David and Goliath type thing where it's like Rey Mysterio and Braun, or even rumors of James Ellsworth coming back.
Did they have their paths ever crossed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Braun beat the shit out of him. I think he literally threw him.
Oh, that's right.
Tossed him outside the ring.
That's right.
But I can see James Ellsworth coming in as that comic relief.
Right.
And them still legitimately winning the tag.
Because of Braun, yeah.
Which would suck, but it can also be a transition championship set up for the Superstar Shakeup. And the titles get lost at some point in the near future. So you say the tag team of Braun and mystery partner win the titles?
Yeah.
What's funny is that you mentioned Hogan, but neither one of us touched on it, because legitimately I don't think that's going to happen.
You know, I don't want to see Hogan back in the ring. I want to see him back, get his Hall of Fame stuff, get back in that, in that aspect. But I don't want to see him wrestle.
No, I think, same as my opinion with The Undertaker, I think the time has come and gone. Just let it...
I wouldn't mind seeing Taker against Cena, though.
We'll get into that.
The end of, the two legends that, Kurt.
Right. I guess we can get into that. So what's the next match on the card? It's potentially a match on this card, so we'll talk about it when it comes up.
Next match is SmackDown Tag Team Championship match with the Usos versus the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers.
Is there any doubt in your mind that the Bludgeon Brothers are winning this?
No.
So it's safe to say
Bludgeon Brothers are going to take it.
It's safe.
I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Part of me wonders if, one, obviously they're giving the Bludgeon Brothers. I mean, it wasn't really a push. They kind of just
dominated, attacked.
Right, and this might lead to the fact that we might see War Machine come in, or even Authors of Pain.
AOP, yeah. Those guys, they trimmed down. They seem more fit. Yeah, they really...
So I think that will lead to that, and I also think that potentially New Day or the Usos go over to Raw, so that we're going to split up these tag teams and bring in some fresh
meat.
Which makes me also wonder when we're going to see Sanity come in, because they're long overdue too. I guess we'll find out Saturday where Sanity stands, because if Killian Dane wins that ladder match and gets the North American title, then Sanity's not coming up.
What do you think about this North American title?
I haven't seen it, but from what I hear, it's very retro. It's a retro style belt.
No, but what do you think about the concept of adding another belt, another title?
I like it because NXT is supposed to set itself apart as it being its own brand. So why not have an extra title in there?
I like it too because, well,
why they call it the North American title is confusing to me.
I'm not so crazy about that. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but like in WCW, there was, the heavyweight, there was the TV, and the United States. Okay, and then they had the tag team, the World Tag Team, and the National Tag Team. I like that concept of having like the National Tag Team.
I like the fact that WCW, and maybe it's because maybe the roster wasn't as expansive as I'm thinking it is, but maybe in my head back at the time, it seemed like it was a remarkable roster.
They had, I mean, depending on what time frame you're talking about. But.
So to have that many titles, actually, in my opinion, put prestige to the titles because
a lot of people say too many takes the prestige
I think
away.
the opposite, but I also don't think that you need to have your heavyweight championship defended every week,
right,
or at every pay-per-view. I think that you can rotate titles out, put a focus on a certain group for a certain amount of time, and then jump back over. If you were to not talk about Braun Strowman for the next month, and then you brought him back on TV a month later,
boom,
he's not going to lose his heat or his
they're going to pop,
right. So I think the fact that WCW had so many titles and the way that they spread it out.
Well, when they were like NWA, they incorporated other titles like the Florida Heavyweight Championship, and
I just like the fact that it wasn't stale. Like right now, our tag team titles on Raw and SmackDown are stale. It's always the same teams going to. How many renditions can we see of the Bar versus one member of the Shield plus a random person? Finn Balor or
Balor against Seth Rollins.
Right.
I mean that's a great matchup. Don't get me wrong, but I've seen it.
So with that said, are we going to see a bulk of this match being picked up by New Day and Usos, and then we'll get some kind of brutality toward the end of the Bludgeon Brothers?
I don't know. I mean, the last few times the Usos met up with the New Day, it's been pretty good.
But every time they've done this, there's always seemed like they bookmarked it as closing the chapter. It's done.
Oh, right.
And somehow they extend the story along.
It's open again.
And it's like, do we really want to see this go on any more past this? This should be the final chapter and close it out, in my opinion.
Of those two teams.
Yes. I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we've seen it too many times, probably. At least take a break with it, yeah. But I see the Bludgeon Brothers taking it.
Okay. So
it's funny because when they first introduced the Bludgeon Brothers, as the Bludgeon Brothers, it's like, what the hell is this shit? But then when they started...
I wouldn't be thrown off by the gimmick so much as long as they still refer to them as Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
Yeah.
They can still be the Bludgeon Brothers.
Right.
Because, I mean, look at the Mega Powers. It was still Hogan and whatever.
Weird.
It wasn't like their names are Mega and Power. Yeah. I mean, the Bludgeon Brothers, they bludgeon people.
Right.
Kind of like the Bash Brothers with Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco. They're individuals, but they group together. Anyway.
Next up, we have Raw Women's Championship. Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax.
I think Nia Jax gets disqualified here. I think she beats the living shit out of Alexa Bliss to the point where the referee has to pull her off her and disqualifies her because she doesn't answer to the 5 count.
Is it a weasel 5 count, or is it like...
No, I think it's going to be a legitimate... It's going to be a quick match.
Or it's like she's out of control.
She's out of control and literally beats the hell out of her to where stretchers have to come out almost to that point. And then we hear FABOLOUS.
Yeah, but how's she going to get Nia Jax out of the way to get...
Nia Jax will be done at this point. She'll be pulled away, and then this will be Carmella's opportunity to cash in the Money in the Bank and throw everybody off by taking the Raw Championship.
Right.
That also leaves the opportunity for... I mean, Nia Jax honestly doesn't need the title right now. And it also...
But she needs a push. She's always, always like they never really made her dominant until
This will be that deciding factor if she beats the living shit out of Alexa Bliss. Or the other angle you can do is that she actually does beat Alexa Bliss, and then Alexa and Mickie James attack Nia and leave her out cold, and Carmella still comes in and cashes in and takes it away from Nia, with Nia only having the title for 2 minutes. I mean, both ways are pretty shitty, but it sounds fitting for what they can do with that, because the way they've placed the storyline is that Carmella has failed on 3 or 4 attempts now over the last month and a half of trying to cash in on Charlotte, to where we are now trained to believe that's who she's trying to go for, that they're going to go completely out of left field and take the Raw title. Not only that, but if we do have a superstar shakeup, now Carmella doesn't have to be put in that whole shakeup. She's already on Raw. Which also leads to the potential of Big Cass coming back and we get... Oh, actually,
they're no longer together.
They're no longer together. That's probably going to be a little sour. So, what did you take? What do you think is going to happen?
I think Nia's going to take the title. I didn't think of what you said, but I can also see that happening. But, you know, as far as the DQ part. Speaking of DQs.
Dairy Queen?
No.
Double cheese. Double mayo. Motherfucker.
Speaking of disqualifications, have you noticed, now that we've been tracking points and stuff, that nobody gets disqualified anymore?
Right.
Nobody gets to, when this happens, nobody gets their arm raised. So, how do you know what the disqualification is really?
Right. There's been a couple things that haven't happened. I could have swore we got ambulance rides all the time.
They don't show them.
And I also could have swore we saw people hit people titles.
They don't, yeah.
And
ever since we started tracking
these are things that I started, when I started the point system for Flow, I was like, okay, these things may happen a lot. One of the things that has happened a lot is the whole looking on, where the camera is backstage.
Not a lot.
And you see the wrestler looking at the monitor.
Not a lot.
But, it's going to be interesting. And if anyone's listening at this point in the show...
Why wouldn't they be?
Because it's going to be a long show. But if you're interested in jumping into Flow, we will be, in the future, having opening roster spots and expanding the potential of this.
You said because it's going to be a long show. WrestleMania is 7.5 hours long. You think people aren't going to watch it?
Oh, they're going to watch it.
Okay, so why wouldn't, if anybody wants to listen to us, why wouldn't they?
Here's some food for thought for you. The Hall of Fame ceremony, 3 hours, give or take?
Sure.
We'll say 3 hours. NXT TakeOver, probably 2.5 hours. So we'll say 5.5. For those that with the calculator, this is going to be some math. WrestleMania, we'll say 7.5 hours. So right there you have 16 hours just from Friday to Sunday. Monday, 3 hours of Raw. Tuesday, 2 hours of SmackDown. We're at 21 hours of wrestling in a 5-day
followed by
span.
205 Live, followed by NXT the next day, followed by 2 hours of Impact, followed by New Japan on Friday.
Now, if you're not watching anything on the indie scene, just WWE product alone, you're looking at a full day's worth of TiVo product that you can watch.
And I got a concert on Monday night.
That's ridiculous. So, again, if you are listening to the show at this point, I love you. Thank you. And, yeah. So, what's the next match on the card?
We have the Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz against Seth Rollins against Finn Balor.
What'd you think of Miz's little commentary stint there on Raw?
What do you mean?
The fact that he was talking about his child, and he was almost coming off as a babyface in that instance.
He is he's both. He's a heel and a babyface, because...
He's kind of like one of those assholes that you like to like, right?
Right. No, exactly.
My friend used to say this to me. He goes, I don't know what it is about your face, but I just want to punch you. Miz has one of those faces where you just want to punch him. You don't know why, you just want to punch him.
You just want to hate him, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. With this said, we saw a kind of an exhibition of Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor on Raw went about 22 minutes. It was kind of I guess they wanted to see how these two go together, and then you can implement The Miz in at WrestleMania. Your take, is this going to be a good match? Who do you want to win? Who do you think is going to win?
Yes, I think it's going to be a good match. Who do I think is going to win?
Are we going to see the Demon King?
No.
You don't think, with it being the grandest stage of
I think we might see the Fairy King.
Yeah, I've heard talks about his rainbow-colored
BC
Balor Club T-shirt.
Yeah.
Him coming out as Blue Boy, which is an Australian gay magazine, which Finn Balor gave hints wearing all blue on a couple different occasions. I've even heard him being called Grin Balor because he's always smiling.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, because it being the grandest stage, do you think we see an impromptu Demon King? And if we do, does that mean he automatically wins the match because he's undefeated as the Demon?
Is he?
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think about that. All I thought was, I think Seth's probably going to win this one. But if you're talking about the Demon King, well, then yeah, I guess I'd go Finn. If it's the Demon King.
Do you think this potentially has the lead up to some dissension between Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, and we somehow see the emergence of the Bullet Club or the Balor Club, and the emergence of the Shield coming back together, and we have like a battle of the factions?
Could happen, definitely.
Because I think if anything, this is a spot where we can see Dean Ambrose come out and help out Seth Rollins.
I don't think he's coming back for a while. Still a while.
Oh. Me personally, I would like to see The Miz keep it. I don't think Seth Rollins needs the title, and I don't think Balor needs the title right now. And I think that because we're in an era now that everybody has a a record that they beat, The Miz is about 10 days away from having the Intercontinental title, the longest reign.
Oh, really?
And if he loses it here at WrestleMania, it just completely wipes it out.
Yeah.
And WWE is all about setting the bar for the next generation, and I think this is...
If he was to lose it, and I'm not talking in this match, but who would be a good person to have that Intercontinental title?
Who do I think would give it some interesting value?
Yes.
I would say Matt Hardy. Or Jeff Hardy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
odd.
Well, I wasn't expecting that answer coming from
because I don't think Balor, as much as I'm one of those that likes to see a wrestler progress on the ladder of success, Balor technically had the Universal title as his first title in WWE.
For a day, yeah.
For a day. Going to the Intercontinental title seems like a step back. And do you really want to see Balor versus The Miz over the next month and a half, 2 months?
What about Elias?
Elias would be good, but there's just no storylines that are there yet. I think we can have a Balor versus Seth Rollins feud that gets the two factions involved for the next couple months going into Survivor Series. But other than that, there's really nothing there, storyline-wise.
I like The Miz, and I think he's done more for that championship than anybody has in a long time. But honestly, I'm just kind of sick of him with it.
In all fairness, though, that doesn't say a lot, because if you think about it, the biggest title or the biggest championship on Raw is the Universal title. And Brock Lesnar kind of made it obsolete. It's redundant. So when you got someone like The Miz, who's actually on the show on a weekly basis, showing the title off and talking about its prestige, it's going to sound like a bigger title. And it's going to give value to that title because we're seeing it on a regular basis. So I think The Miz will retain going into...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with Seth Rollins on that one.
Seth?
Yeah.
Okay. So who's going to be his next opponent? You think he'll keep a feud with the Miz, or?
Well, Miz will get a rematch, right? Or should.
So with that being the case, are you looking at?
I think Miz, and not something I spent hours thinking about, but I just popped in my head. Miz, maybe he's going to take some time off because he just had a kid.
Right. But he also has his kid right before WrestleMania, so there really, at this point, isn't time or any need to take time off. Maurice can be wherever Miz goes. But you also look at it this way. If Seth Rollins wins, him and his faction, Roman Reigns, who I think is going to take the title from Lesnar, 2 members of the team is going to have a title. Do you think potentially we see Jason Jordan come back and interfere in this match in some way, shape, or form?
Where do you come up with this shit?
It's because he's long overdue.
Well, no, but I mean, how do you think so far ahead?
I like to fantasy book because WWE just doesn't put any interest in the storyline, so I got to make my own interest in the storyline. All right, I'm already tired with this match. What's the next match on the card?
Daniel Bryan versus Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Now, this being a gimmick match, is there anything about this match that draws any interest to you? And do you hold any validity behind that if Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens lose, that they're fired from SmackDown? And if they're fired from SmackDown, who's to say they don't automatically go to Raw? I mean, they're not going to be fired from wrestling.
Right, but if they go to Raw, then... Well, they might bring 2 people from NXT over.
But if they also go to Raw, if we have a superstar shakeup, was there really a stipulation to this match in the first place?
Right.
So it's almost to the point where Daniel Bryan and Shane have to win.
I'm saying the opposite.
I think it's because it's Daniel Bryan's first official match back. It's one of those feel-good moments.
That's the thing, though. Sometimes by making them lose. I mean, look how they did him. He was always the underdog. He was always fighting for the title and never got it until he got it, which was delayed quite a bit.
Which is funny because if you think about that, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were both considered underdogs or, overlooked because they were indie guys. Do we see a potential Daniel Bryan heel turn?
Didn't I say that to you one time?
And joins Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as the indie darlings or whatever.
Right.
And Shane gets attacked, and maybe we see someone come to Shane's aid.
Ooh, shit. Anyway,
Hogan. We laugh, but if it happens, I'm gonna be so pissed if Hogan comes out to back up Shane, and then Shane now becomes the GM for SmackDown because he came to whatever.
Hogan, you mean?
Right. Hogan comes to Shane's aid.
That could.
And now Shane's like, you know what? I appreciate what you did for me. How would you like to be a permanent feature?
Right.
And then he takes over Daniel Bryan's spot, so Daniel Bryan's not going to be there. That storyline just popped in my head. If I was writing and I pitched that to you, would you like to see that? I find it intriguing.
I find the heel turn very intriguing, yeah.
Now,
why? Because, see, again, to me, if somebody becomes too much of a good guy, like Daniel Bryan, like Mick Foley, like Kurt Angle, I start not liking them.
Like Bayley?
Right. I start not liking it.
Now, if the situation played out like I said, and Hogan comes out to Shane McMahon, what music would you expect to hear for Hogan?
Oh, wow.
Are we going to hear that? Are we going
It'd probably be that. Oh, God. I would hate that. I would prefer Hollywood. But
it would be interesting if they were going to transition Hogan back in. I think it would be an ideal spot to put him back in as coming to Shane's rescue, and Shane rewards him with the GM role.
Makes sense, yeah. Again, how do you fucking come up with this shit?
I just, like I said, because WWE doesn't leave a lot to the imagination, I have to kind of build my own storyline, what I would find interesting. And I'm always disappointed because it doesn't happen that way. So you say Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn win?
Yes.
Okay, so then what happened? Where do you go from there, storyline? I know you don't look that far ahead, but
that's it.
They're just back?
Daniel Bryan.
Which I can see that too, because I can see Daniel Bryan feuding with them if there's no heel turn.
Goes his singles route, whatever, and Shane looks for a new GM.
Right. All right. Next on the card.
Next on the card, SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka.
The streak versus the title.
I'm going with the streak.
That one's tricky. So you think that Charlotte's going to win?
No, the streak.
Oh, you think Asuka's going to win?
Yes.
I have to say that I agree. I think Asuka's going to win the title because I think we're going to see potential build to Asuka versus Ronda Rousey, depending on how well she does.
Right.
And they want Ronda Rousey to have that whole submission lock versus Asuka. It's going to be...
Exactly.
It's going to actually look like a match.
Right.
A fight. Charlotte doesn't need the title.
Charlotte, honestly, since she's come to SmackDown, ever since she came to SmackDown, she's been a face.
Right.
When she was on Raw, she was a heel. I prefer Charlotte as a heel.
I think Charlotte's going back to Raw, so...
And I hate that what the fuck is this little...
If we had... Let's say we flip it in reverse. If Charlotte actually wins the match, what does that do for Charlotte? She's already champion. It doesn't escalate her.
She just gets the
recognition
for beating Asuka.
Right. And I don't see any gain in that, so...
Then there'll be Ronda against Charlotte.
Right. So, if anything, I can see someone even like Ember Moon coming in and trying to fight Asuka again for the title. Because Ember Moon was the next person in line that got the NXT Women's Championship, but that was only because Asuka moved on. So that was an easy one.
Yeah. Okay, next up we got Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Stephanie McMahon and Triple H.
Now, there's different... This is like an onion to this match. There's different layers. One, do we see an actual legit match? To where it's going to be Triple H versus Angle, Ronda versus Stephanie, and that we see an actual intriguing story being told, an actual match playing out? Or are we going to see Ronda Rousey floundering and have to turn to Kurt Angle to carry most of the weight, and it's going to be Kurt Angle and Triple H carrying a majority of the match?
Look at these names: Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H. One of these is not like the other. Which one's the weak link?
Honestly?
Yes.
It depends on what aspect you look at.
Stephanie.
No, Stephanie, she has wrestling experience where Ronda Rousey has fighting experience. Those two don't translate.
Sure they do.
No.
Get him in an arm lock.
That's real.
Taps.
That's not really wrestling. That's fighting. I mean,
it's going to win the match, is what I'm saying.
Ronda Rousey, I heard this on a podcast. Ronda Rousey is going to either be one of two people on Sunday at WrestleMania. She's either going to be Ken Shamrock or she's going to be Dan Severn. Ken Shamrock was able to wrestle, and he was able to carry that prestige of the look of the UFC fighter. Now, given Ken Shamrock actually was an indie wrestler prior to being picked up by WWE, Dan Severn only knew the UFC aspect of it and really wasn't a character in WWE. He was more of a fighter. So he didn't go...
He was more of a wrestler, wasn't he?
No.
He was like NWA something, wasn't he?
He was more of like a technical wrestler, but he wasn't one that you would actually believe as a character on TV. So Ronda Rousey is either going to flounder or she's going to be put in a spot where she does her armbar or whatever at the end of the match. What I think is going to happen, me personally, I think we're going to see a double tap out. I think Ronda Rousey's going to put the armbar.
And Kurt's going to put...
No, I think Triple H is either going to pin at the same time. The ref's counting 2. Stephanie's going to tap out when the ref hits his hand on 3, and we're going to have a double.
Or what if...
Or Triple H puts
the ankle lock on him.
Right. I think we're going to have...
Where do you see... The question...
Because really, what happens if you go either way? If you give Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle the win, how does the storyline progress? Stephanie and Triple H disappear from TV because...
Which they always do.
Right, which makes sense. But then where do you go with Ronda Rousey? Do you keep her as a babyface?
She's gonna start a wrestling career.
Now, if you have the other way around, Stephanie and Triple H win, they discipline Kurt Angle. Either they fire him or they suspend him or whatever. And then they make Ronda Rousey into a new image. They give her some bullshit gimmick, and she opposes them like Stone Cold did. And she's against the authority, which they've done that angle so many times before.
No, they wouldn't do that with her.
I think the best way, the cheap way out, is to have a double finish, where it's an unfinish, which gives you a chance to go into the storyline.
And then where do you go from there?
There's always the future of.
I mean, it doesn't seem like Angle's going to continue wrestling. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just it sucks because I don't know where Angle is on his wrestling ability anymore, and if he's not that solid, now you're putting him with Ronda Rousey, who is also not that solid from what I've seen so far. Now, given she's fairly new, so there's that breaking in period. Stephanie is not really a wrestler, but she can hold her own. She's had a match with like Brie Bella and stuff like that. And then Triple H is Triple H.
What'd you think of the slam through the table?
I think it could not have been choreographed any more slower. It seemed like she lifted up her arm and then made sure she was completely under her and then lifted her up and dropped her to the table. It was ridiculous. So, who do you think is going to win it?
I'm going with Rousey and Angle.
Okay.
They're pushing her. I mean, like I said, they just finished the Elimination Chamber, Women's Elimination Chamber.
But I think they
introduced her right after. And
but they've given 3 weeks in that time period to kind of see how she is on the mic, and to see how she is. I like her microphone thing. She's like, "What arm do you write with?"
Oh yeah.
Like, so she flubbed her lines there, but again, it's nerves. But I think Vince, Stephanie, and Triple H have got to see how she was over the last 3 weeks, and I don't know if they're ready to quite push her as strongly. I think they've realized they bit off a little more than they can chew, paying her a certain price tag.
Well, it takes time.
Right. But this is the reason why you don't bring people to the main roster right away. You give them that NXT time, like Shayna Baszler, who has kind of progressed if you watch her.
She's going against Ember Moon.
Right. And I think she's actually going to win it. And I think Ember Moon's coming up. I think she's
probably
doing the honors for her. What's our next match?
AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura.
That is going to be an interesting match.
It's going to be a great match.
It's going to be a really great match, and it's even greater if you go onto the WWE Network and watch the WWE Chronicles. They just released one on April 5th, which was yesterday, of Shinsuke Nakamura from Royal Rumble until April 4th, so 2 days prior. And it chronicles who he is, his day-to-day life, his life on the road, and the process of winning at Royal Rumble, winning at Fastlane, and the potential of fighting AJ Styles. And it's just neat.
Didn't show anything from his past?
No, but he did talk about how he's been on the stage of the Tokyo Dome, and he's fought AJ Styles before. But his goal when he came to the U.S. was going to be that he wrestle at WrestleMania. And to see that actually come into fruition. And it's amazing because they give him this role on TV as if he doesn't understand English that well and everything, but he's actually extremely smart. He graduated college. He's got broken English, but he uses words that, even we wouldn't use in a regular format. Just very, very well put.
I'll have to watch it.
With that said, your picks?
I'm going Nakamura.
Now, with that said, we already say that Asuka's winning the title. Do you think WWE has that confidence to put 2 titles into 2 Japanese characters on the biggest stage of them all, with their promo cutting skills being the level that they are?
I don't even think that should be a question.
I agree. I mean, they already gave this push for them both as the first time ever having two Japanese wrestlers win the Royal Rumble.
Both would be on the same show too, huh?
Right. That's another thing, is do you have two people that already cut promos very difficult? Although this might have been why WWE has put the words on the screen as a way to start putting subtitles, just to see what their fan reactions are to having words appear on the screen.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that the Superstar Shakeup doesn't somehow
change that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think Nakamura's going to take it.
I think AJ will be AJ no matter if he has the belt or not. So,
right.
So I think Nakamura, it as early as it is, I think it is his time. And I think he can make... Not that AJ hasn't made it a relevant title and making it a good run. I think he's just as good as carrying that title himself.
Right, exactly. I agree. It's just passing the torch.
Right. Which is weird to say because AJ's only been with the company for, what, a year and a half?
No, but okay, how long has he had the title?
Right.
Doesn't mean he'll never get it again.
I mean, if you want to get technical, he's had the title since December.
Okay, but again, it doesn't mean he's not going to have the title again.
Right.
Next up, we have the Universal Championship on the line. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns.
Do we even want to go into this one? Because we already know. The fact that we knew that these two were going to fight each other a year ago.
How did we know that?
Because it was leaked out that there's, like, the card for WrestleMania 34 was going to be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns.
Do you remember who was at Mania last year against Lesnar?
Lesnar last year was Goldberg.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be Roman because, well, for one, supposedly Brock's on his way out.
Right. So with that said, do we see a Paul Heyman backing a different guy type thing? Where
I'd love to see a Paul Heyman heel turn. Turn on Brock.
How cool would that be to, let's say this is the match that ends the show, and you have Paul Heyman stepping over Brock Lesnar to raise Roman Reigns' hand, and that's how they go off the air.
Right. Not only that, but what kind of pop would that get?
Right.
And would that make Roman, would that make people stop booing Roman, or would it make it worse?
Over under on this match, 13 minutes.
I'd say right around there.
Right around there. Do you think it'll be a display of power for like the first 8 minutes or whatever, and then Roman just ends it fast? Or do you think it's going to be any kind of foul play, or do you think it's going to be a clean finish?
I think it'll probably be a clean finish.
I'm actually a little intrigued. I mean, I hope it doesn't go too long, because everybody knows who it's going to be. Is that the last match?
Yeah, but if it's still delivering, then I don't have a problem with it.
Is that the last match on the card?
Well, there's one match that hasn't been announced yet.
The potential?
Correct.
Now, are we going to see one of these things where John Cena is literally in the first or second row for the whole show? And toward the end, we get this whole Undertaker thing? Do you think it might be a mid of the card thing where Kid Rock does his live performance and Kid Rock starts to play one of his songs and jumps over to the Undertaker's old theme and the American Badass comes out?
I've been trying to think how that is actually going to go down.
Or, to completely ruin your life, do you think that we get the tease, just like we had with John Cena and The Rock, that this is going to be the setup for WrestleMania the following year?
Honestly, I don't think they're going to wait till next year. I don't know if it's going to happen at Mania, but it could happen like...
The reason why I ask is because John Cena is supposedly going to be out for almost a year, doing movie projects and everything.
Oh, he is?
Now, if you imagine, if he's out for that year doing movie projects, just like the way that him and Rock did it, they can cut promos in their own personal time, and they can do this whole year-long build-up, which I hated that.
I hated that.
I don't know if the Taker, for one, and it's not a knock on the guy, I don't think he has another year's worth of waiting to get back in the ring.
I think he does. I mean, no. I mean, I think he's got it for right now.
Right. I think right now is the time to do it. Strike while the iron's hot. How would you pop to see this match actually get initiated at Mania? Like, what would cause you to go, holy shit, this is happening? Because we already know it's happening.
But we don't, 100%. I mean, there's been talk.
Do you truly believe that there's a chance it might not happen? Truly.
It might not happen at Mania.
Is it going to happen on Raw?
Maybe.
I'd be pissed as a fan if that was the case.
Yeah, I get that too.
Even though WWE did not mislead because they never said it was happening.
Right, he never even said anything.
But just as a fan, you're like, you had me sit here for 7.5 hours. Fuck you.
So would that mean you're only there to see The Undertaker?
No.
You know how you were saying earlier.
Right. Me personally, I don't want to see it.
No?
No. I mean, I am curious to see what Undertaker looks like.
I read that he's in
better
great
shape.
condition.
Right.
Yes, great shape.
But not to say that last year ended on a good note, because it really didn't.
But it ended.
Right. It just... I don't want to see something like that happen again. To where he can only go...
Cry?
No. But I want to see it go like 6 minutes and you can tell that he's just not there anymore on that level. And now, John Cena is not one of the people that can carry a real good match. Especially when the other person's not carrying close to the same level. If anything, I want this to be a street fight.
What's your favorite Undertaker match?
I don't have one.
What?
Yeah, I don't have one. I mean, if I had to pick one, like really pick one... I mean, if you're going to put me on the spot, like, I really don't... There's not one...
okay, no, but what's your favorite? I mean...
I like the Shawn Michaels one.
Yes.
The dark versus light. And then I also like the Mick Foley one. But I like them for different reasons.
Right.
I mean, the technical aspect of the Shawn Michaels...
That was a great match.
Right. And then I like the brutality of the Mick Foley match.
Right, because
Mick
Foley made that match what it was.
Neither one of these matches I'd go back and watch. That's what I'm saying. I don't have one that I actually...
Really? Not Shawn Michaels one?
I'm not really a go back and watch match type of guy, to be honest with you. It's kind of like a movie. Like, if you already know the plot line and everything, do you really want to go... You personally might, because you like the history of all of it and everything.
Right.
But I'm just... If I'm not in that moment, I can't put myself back in that moment.
So you never bought a DVD? For yourself?
I don't think I have. To be honest with you, I don't think I have. I think Brenda used to get them from work.
Right.
And that's the only reason why I had them. But I don't think I actually... Unless it was the DX one, the uncensored. For obvious reasons. I don't...
What, Shawn Michaels' butt?
No.
What's the I don't know, what's on the uncensored? I don't know.
Well, usually because there's boobies and stuff.
Boobies. They balance out.
And that's the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Ending the show with boobies.
But even now, with the WWE Network, I don't go back and watch classic matches. Even after listening to Bruce Pritchard on his show, I don't go back and, I need to watch Vengeance 2001 because of this.
I've done it with the What Happened When podcast.
Part of me wants to go back and watch the the Bret Hart and Stone Cold match again, just to see how well that storytelling was done. Because Bret said if you go back and watch, you can't tell when he gigged Stone Cold. He said it happened so naturally that you would not have been able to tell.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know that, knowing exactly when it happened, like he tells you exactly when he turned in and did it, that he said even then you probably couldn't tell. Is this going to be the end for either one of these guys?
See, that's the thing. Undertaker comes back as the American Badass. Okay. So what's going to happen if he shows up on WrestleMania and they had their match? What happens after that?
I mean, Undertaker's come back before and said, this time I'm back for good. And then he was back for one show and that was it. With the American Badass, after the match is over, does he take the bandana off and set it down?
Right. Well, how far is he going to go with it?
Because obviously Cena doesn't have to win this. Undertaker has to win this.
Nobody else has been around as long as he has that's still, going today. In WWE anyway.
Right. And that's really not fair to say either because he wrestles once a year.
Right.
So, if you look at it that way, Heath Slater's got more matches under his belt than... So does Kurt Hawkins.
For the year.
Right. Is this where John Cena feels defeated, that he cannot beat anybody at this point? Losing to Roman Reigns, losing the Royal Rumble, losing the Elimination Chamber, losing Fastlane. Like, every match that he's been in over the last 5 months, he was not able to pull out a victory. And then to lose The Undertaker, is this like John Cena needs to take a break, and that now everyone wonders if he's gone?
Probably. I mean, that's probably what they're implying, yeah. But then again, what happens with The Undertaker? Is he just going to disappear again?
Yeah, see, I think that's it. I think Undertaker's going to retire his gear this time. Now, all characters are done. Undertaker and...
Well, Mick Foley had 3 characters.
That's
still
true.
Another possibility.
I guess it was the Gothic Undertaker too, right? So, with that said...
He'll come back as Mean Mark.
Yeah, that's one of the skyscrapers.
Yeah.
So, with that said, that covers the show. Is there anything about the show that you're most looking forward to? Anything that you hope to happen?
Well, I'm excited about the A.J. Nakamura match. Not like totally excited, but it's, get your curiosity going to see who Braun's partner is going to be.
I think there's enough of the unknown to make this feel like the kayfabe era all over again.
Right.
I've stayed off the internet sites.
I'm trying to.
Because I don't want to even the possibility to know that something that I predicted might be true. Because I'm like, shit, now that's going to happen.
Right.
So, I mean, I'd like to not know that Hogan might be there, may not be there, who Braun's opponent might be, or tag team partner might be, any potential wrestlers coming back. I don't want to know what's happening on Raw the following night ahead of time. I want it to all be fresh. And not knowing is actually making this WrestleMania a lot more intriguing than last year. I can already tell you. So knowing what we know, I'm more intrigued of not knowing what I don't know.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Any last things that you want to touch on? Anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah. Here I go again, right? Just check it out. Just Impact Wrestling has been pretty good lately. They got new talent. Brian Cage, he fucking did a hurricanrana on fucking Bobby Lashley. Guy's bigger than Papa Pump. He's got potential, a lot of potential. They had, Eli Drake against, I don't know, I think it was Moose Thursday night.
Why don't you tell everyone your fascination with Eli Drake? This,
What?
The reincarnation of The Rock.
No, he's got elements, just like little things.
He does.
Little influences of The Rock.
From what I saw with him, he has influence of The Rock and Stone Cold combined.
Stone Cold being his voice, right? Like
right.
the raspiness. But like last night on Impact, he just what he did was like totally like.
Not only that, but it's the cadence in his voice too. It's where he'll say something like this, and then he'll ask you something like that, and that's just saying, almost like a Barack Obama meets The Rock type
and
cadence.
The Rock always like went like with his hands or
right.
whatever. So
and I think it's just his delivery system. And
even Brodus Clay's back.
Is he still as heavy, or does he actually look like he's in good shape?
He's still heavy.
Because he's not a bad wrestler.
If they made him a fucking monster instead of a fucking
kind of like
dancer,
Albert.
He would have been fine.
Kind of like Albert, or
right.
whatever you want to call him.
Right.
What's his real name?
Oh, God. Is it Bloom?
Yes. Matt Bloom.
Matt Bloom.
Matt Bloom had the legitimacy of someone that can be a badass.
Yeah.
But they put him in so many different characters. Tenzai was a joke. Prince Albert was a joke.
I didn't think he wasn't trying to be an Asian guy. He was trying to pay tribute to his Asian...
What was he also called? Sweet tea or green tea or Nest tea or iced tea?
Sweet tea?
There you go.
Maybe?
McDonald's sweet tea. Yeah.
But where'd the T come from?
Because he's Tensai.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
I'm
Albert.
guessing.
I was thinking Albert, that's what. But, no, that guy could be, a monster if they did it right.
Surprised Impact never got a cease and desist for TNA.
What do you mean?
Well, because Test and Albert was the original TNA, with Trish Stratus as their in-between.
Oh. But anyway, if you guys can get Pop TV or Twitch or whatever, check it out because it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good.
I actually tried to hop on to see if I got Pop, and I don't. It's an additional subscription required. Which is a damn shame because I actually do want to give it a chance.
Okay, I'll admit it got really shitty there for like
even if it
a month ago.
Even if it's not the shitty aspect, just the fact that it's something different,
right,
than the non-directed storylines that we're getting with WWE.
I mean, look at all the talent that has left there and gone to WWE, and now they're like all main.
Not only that, but I would actually like to, if I could, step away from WWE, still get my wrestling fix, but step away from WWE for like 2 months, knowing that no storyline has progressed, and not feel like I missed anything.
Well, I have it recorded. I saved it for you because I wanted to show you something. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, damn it.
Yeah, see? You always all talk here.
Well, I didn't think you were actually going to call me on my bullshit.
Well, I saved it from yesterday. I was like, oh, I know he's not going to fucking want to watch it, but I'll save it just to show him this one thing.
So, for those that are interested, going forward, after WrestleMania, I am going to be the general manager for Flow.
Yeah, how are we going to do this?
Which is the Fantasy League of Wrestling again. It's a fantasy league for wrestling fans. I will be keeping track of the points for all of the participants. The participants are able to keep track of their own points also, just to double check my work.
And then all of a sudden, Stubbs has the title run for like a year because he's keeping points.
And then Savvo is going to be the commissioner who will relegate the actual trades, who's allowed to trade for what characters. But just so you know, I am currently the reigning and defending 4-week-long Flow champion, second ever Flow champion, which is fine. I don't need to be first. Just as long
Because
as
you're not.
Just so you know, I doubled your reign.
I
will be walking into WrestleMania as a childhood dream of mine to go into WrestleMania as champion. And I will be walking out.
You won't be walking out it.
I will be walking out the same weight because I will have that strap around my waist as your Flow champion. You're welcome to borrow the title anytime you want to take a picture up. Just know I have the same standards as Trip Rogers. Paper bag is not optional. It's mandatory.
Oh, you want me to put the title in the paper bag?
No, I want you to put the paper bag on your head. And as always, guys, wrestling's real. People are fake. Be sure to check out WWE WrestleMania on Sunday, starting at 2 o'clock, ends Tuesday.
And NXT TakeOver.
WrestleMania starts Tuesday at 2 here at Pacific Coast time, ends Wednesday at 7 o'clock East or Western time, whatever, for NXT. So plan to give the next 3 or 4 days dedicated to WWE. They own your soul.
And to think we went to it, 4 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of the repeat of what we saw then, too. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have
Ronda Rousey and Stephanie. Well, The Rock's not there, but yeah.
Yeah, we're also going to see...
That wasn't even a match, but...
We're going to see a Money in the Bank cash-in, I'm pretty sure, to take a title, just like we did. We're going to have another Battle Royal that nobody cares about.
Who won it then, Mojo? Or...
At that Battle Royal?
Yeah.
I think it was Big Show.
Ah, that's right.
But we also had Seth Rollins cash in and take the title. So... if you want to know how this pay-per-view is going to pan out, just watch WrestleMania 31 or 32. 32?
30? 34 right now.
Yeah, we had last year was Texas.
I don't care. I don't know.
I honestly
not that I'm not being rude. I just don't know. I don't keep track of that.
Glorious. Yeah, to be honest with you, after this WrestleMania, I'm going to forget what number it is too.
I think it was 30.
Yeah, I want to say it's 31. Correct us if we're wrong. Did you notice you watched Ride Along last night, right?
Yes.
Did you see they were playing the wrestling game?
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that, I'm like, we do that. So yeah, wrestling's real. People are fake. Stubby out.
Thanks for listening. Peace out.